It is absolutely beautiful out here today. Everything is so green. And of course, this is an organic farm. And these are my artichokes. Going to be ready in a couple more days, I think. But that's not what this video is about.
Yeah, I can't wait to eat that artichoke. This video is just about, in response to a video, in my own personal video log, in response to a video that I had just watched. And I wanted to make a video here about what I am observing in my transition. I have been, and I transitioned later in life. And I'm often, I often talk about my story amongst the people that I meet. And I, at this point, of course, I have been misgendered, but only because when they walk out and they call my name in the doctor's office, they use my name, which is the masculine name from Ricky. And they say that name, and depends on how I'm dressed or how much makeup I have on. I somewhat pass as a woman, so my gender isn't matching who they're calling, and that probably is the only real embarrassing thing that I run up against. I have doors open for me all the time. Until I talk to somebody, or my hands give me away as well. Not give me away. I don't really care. It's not my position any longer. It hasn't been for many years now. I came to the realization of being transgender and gender dysphoria is being trans. I know who I am inside and how I can express myself outside. And I'm not going to try to convince somebody biologically that I'm something different, because biologically I'm not. But everything else can slowly change to feel and look that way. It happens with hormones. I know that my emotions certainly have changed. There are other things that are experienced differently, much differently, and I would say to the betterment in my case. I have nothing that I can say that I'm afraid of at this particular point, but I am concerned with the rhetoric that's going on with trans health and the young people's affirming care. That's very important. If I had the opportunity at a very young age, at an age of which I would say pre-puberty, to had addressed what I thought I had something wrong with a psychologist, perhaps I would have spared, or perhaps life would have been different for me. It is what it is, but that is because that was back in the 1950s and the early 1960s. Things were a lot different back then. Excuse me, so this is a desert canyon, and it gets dry out here. So in those days, it was frowned. There was really no help for transgender dysphoria wasn't even a known thing, I don't believe, at all. But I didn't understand why I didn't look like my sister and my mom and my aunt and my cousin and all of them, because I was blind to anything outside, what made us different in my mind as a very young child, because when I came into the world, I did not have men in my life for the first few years of my life. So I only knew women. and I was only talked to by women. So in my case, my imprint seemed to have gone in that direction. But that's my story, and I could embellish that later on. Perhaps I'll do a podcast in that. But what the point that I'm trying to make in this is that it gets better. So if you're a young person in transition, either from male to female or female to male, and I know that the world does not look at you the way you want them to see you, and that is going to be a problem. So just keep in mind, you are in transition. That's the key word. You are a transgender person, and that just doesn't happen overnight. My analogy is that if you have something degenerative, like for instance my joints, that's called degenerative joint disease, you get that when you get old and you have arthritis and that kind of thing. Believe me, things happen when you get old, like me. But that is not something that is going to be degenerated, and that's not going to be ungenerating. That's life. Young people are going to be generating for a while, and you're going to start degenerating somewhere around 50 or 60. So, hey, generate well. Keep on trucking. If you've got courage enough to go this far, you've got enough, and you got enough support, and you got enough friends, and I think that in the next couple years, though, and I will do my best, because I talk to people all the time about my experience and what it's gender dysphoria, and people I have found just don't know gender, a trans person. Now, I'm going to back up just a little bit in something I was saying here earlier, and being empathetic to the region that somebody might be in. That is problematic. And everything that I said about trying to be yourself and being recognized, and just because sometimes they won't let you. They're going to try and say, this is who that is. That is something that is their problem. Think of that. It's not your problem. They want to believe that. It's not your faith that they're trying to live. You're trying to live a good life the way you want to live it, and you're not pushing anything on them. And if the only thing that they're doing right now is just not recognizing you as the gender you prefer, that's their problem for now. It'll change. So that's all I have on this video. I hope I didn't disturb anybody with it, and I'll perhaps make another one late down the road on some of the topics of early development in trans life, and at least from my perspective. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.